Hello and welcome to another episode of How to Get Started with Permaculture. My name is Manisha and I am the caretaker of Ananda Permaculture Farm. You've already probably watched the earlier videos on how to get started, and if you haven't, I strongly recommend you watch those first and then come back to see this video. Now, we've talked about how to buy land, how to fence and secure it, how to do the water management on it, and today we are going to talk about the next step, which is tree plantation. Now, in permaculture, trees are actually at the heart of the design. The permanence in agriculture that permaculture talks about comes from trees. Trees are extremely beneficial. They have so many different uses, starting from what we've learned in grade 5, like giving us oxygen and fruit and timber, but also many other unseen benefits, like fixing nitrogen or mining minerals from a huge depth. So we had no doubt in our mind that we wanted to be very, very aggressive with our tree plantation when we got started at Ananda. And we set for ourselves what we thought was a very ambitious target of planting 1,000 trees on 6 acres to start with. So now the question was, like, how do we plant these trees and where do we plant them? So we divided up the trees into different categories. One category is that of wind-breaking trees. These trees are planted on the periphery and they help to prevent strong winds from coming into the land. They also act as dust curtains and noise barriers and create a sense of privacy on your property. Now, these trees we decided to plant them in lines and pretty close together because we were planting silver oak and casuarina, which grew up to be very tall, thin trees. And so we could plant them pretty much 6 feet apart. So we made those markings on the periphery and put away almost 500 trees out of the 1,000 trees in just the periphery. Now we were left with 500 more to plant. We divided those equally between native trees and fruit trees. What do I mean by native trees? Basically, native trees, I'm giving a very general term to all non-fruit bearing trees. Many people want to set up a permaculture farm, but when it comes to planting trees, they only want to plant fruit trees. That's absolutely against the principles of permaculture, because in permaculture, we value diversity. And every tree in our ecosystem provides certain functions which the others need. So a farm which is only filled with fruit trees is likely to be a fairly vulnerable ecosystem, prone to pest attack and failure. So coming back to the 250 native trees, these were really a combination of trees which are good for timber, trees which are found locally and grow very fast, trees which are medicinal, trees which are flowering. And a combination of these trees really helped us to build a peripheral ecosystem within which we could place our orchard. The advantage of planting these trees is that they grow very fast. And because they grow fast, they start providing biomass, they start providing a microclimate, they start giving nutrients to the fruit trees, which are slower growing and need more care and love to really grow up. So we planted 250 native trees and 250 fruit trees. Everything that grows in this area has been planted at Ananda. A simple trick for me was, because I was not that familiar with trees when we got started, was going to the nursery and asking the nursery owner, "Sir, which all trees do you have?" And then I would tell him, "Give me 3 or 6 of each one of them." So this was a good way for me to actually build the diversity on the property. Now, 2 things which you need to keep in mind before tree plantation. 1, you need to start digging their pits well in advance. You have to have the markings and the position of these pits well in advance so that you know where to make them. And then you have to source the trees. So for a plantation which was to happen in July, which is the ideal time to plant in North India, we started work in March, marking out the places to position our trees. And apart from the wind-breaking trees which we've planted on the periphery, which are planted in lines, no other trees were planted in lines. But there had to be a certain designed to this randomness, right? Because otherwise, how do you really place your trees? And so what we did was we planted them in rough circles, and keeping enough distance where we wanted to plant bigger trees, and keeping lesser distance between them where we were planning to plant smaller trees. And then stack up your trees in a way that the smaller trees are not falling in the shadow of the bigger trees. This way, each tree gets its share of light and is able to carry out its photosynthetic processes. So once we marked that out, we got down to digging them. You will need to employ some labor, get some help to actually do that entire activity. Typically, newly acquired lands which are degenerated have a lot of compacted soil, and therefore to even dig a pit, it takes quite a bit of effort. We then reinforced these pits with some cow manure and some bone meal, and also took out all the stones from the soil before we filled back the pit. Now the question is, where do you get the trees from? Now when you're buying 1,000 trees, you obviously want to find the most economical source of getting these trees. And therefore we didn't want to go to the city nurseries because they tend to sell at retail prices. But instead we went to Saharanpur, which is a town maybe 3 hours away from here, where we know that they are wholesalers of nursery plants. So we went to Saharanpur with our list of trees and placed an order there for 1,000 trees, which then got delivered to us a few days later. You could also consider going to a government nursery. They are also a good source to get native trees from. And of course, you could build a nursery of your own in the run-up to your plantation. So now, once we've planted the trees, or rather, let me tell you how we planted the trees first. We invited all our friends and family to join us on a particular day and plant the trees with us. And it was lovely because even today we look at these trees and say, oh, these were planted by dad, or this was planted by mom. And it's such a great memory to have on your farm that some of these trees have been planted by people who actually have passed on since then. But their memory and their spirit lives on through those trees. Once you've planted these trees, the important thing is to look after them and to make sure that they don't die. A tree would die for one of these reasons. A, it could just dry out, right? It could just dry out because of the sheer heat. In the months of April, May, June, it gets very hot in our climate. It becomes almost 46 degrees Celsius, and that can completely dry out the tree. So it's important to keep the tree saplings watered and nicely mulched so that we don't have evaporation losses and the soil remains moist around the tree. The second reason why a tree may die is because it can get eaten by a wild animal. We do have a lot of nilgais which visit our farms at night, and they love to chomp on small succulent saplings. The only way to keep them at bay is to put a night watchman on duty. And you need to do that for a few years till the saplings have really reached tall enough a height that they no longer interest the nilgai. If you've not fenced your property, you may also have domesticated animals like cows and goats or from the nearby village come into your property and eat up your plants. That's why it's important to either fence your property or fence each tree. The best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago, and the second best time is today. So what are you waiting for? Get your act together, go get some saplings and start planting trees. That's it from me today. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions around how to plant trees on your property, please leave them in the comments box. We'll try to answer all your questions.